Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Russ Johnston, Vice President of Business Development for Johnston. Is that right?
That's
Johnston.
correct.
Okay, so before we move into how people are going to get their money's worth with you, what is Johnston?
Johnston is a 11-year-old domain name registrar that handles web services.
Okay.
So we get people online. We
Okay.
take care of all the.
Okay. All right. So you're on the web.
That's right.
You get people on the web.
That's right.
Okay. Your philosophy is a little unusual for business. Maybe it's a 21st century version. You want to mix social networking, sociability with marketing. So what are you, like a business Facebook?
Well, what we are is we actually take building websites, and then the logical extension is adding social media applications. So blogs,
let's talk in
forums.
Let's talk in plain
Sure.
English. So you take someone's business web and you add pieces to it, components to it, to make it more friendly, make it more sociable.
That's right, but also add more marketing tools to a business website.
Okay, so but the idea is to entertain, to capture people's interest.
It is, but it's to collaborate and actually have the exchange of ideas on a business site.
Okay, so that's my point. Is it the 21st version of a businessman and a client talking with each other while they're playing golf?
What it is. That's exactly what it is.
So it's the 21st version of taking your potential client out to play golf.
It's just people talking.
People talking. Okay. Well, let's try something, all right?
You bet.
Because if everyone else is going to get their money's worth, I want to get mine too.
Okay.
I'm developing a media company, and I have a webcast show, and I'm on public access TV, and I'm on radio, and I do some cable, but I want to expand my brand. I want to extend Getting Your Money's Worth. What should I do?
Well, you're going to be adding some of these social media tools to your website.
Like, for instance, give me some specifics.
You bet. So if you added a blog where you're actually out there editing on the website, contributing to some of the content, the conversation that's going on, then some of the people who watch the show come on and they contribute. You start some dialogue, there's some interest in that.
Okay, so I give my website, or I send a newsletter out, and I tell people how to watch the show, or they can go on my website, or they can go on YouTube, or they can go to iTunes, and they write me, and I actually correspond with them.
That's right.
Is that what you're saying?
That's right. And you can also tell them a little bit more about your show. You can have some interactive conversations, but you can also put on video or audio. You can put on rich media and some of those other things, that clips of the show, and people can comment on that, and you can get feedback from your customers and your viewers, and they might give you topics of new ideas they'd like to see.
For example, if somebody called me about you, or wrote about you.
That's right.
I could put a piece of this interview on and say, well, you might consider building a community, a blogging community.
That's right.
Is that what you're talking about? But, blogging, what kind of people blog? Are those going to be people that I want as potential clients?
Yeah, because they're your customers giving you feedback is really what it comes down to. At some point, everyone will blog. All websites will have these kind of interactive features over the next couple of years.
It's a sign of the times. You can't.
It really is.
So So I want to understand. Is it no different than having a brick and mortar store where your consumer comes in and sees your merchandise, for example, and says, "I don't like that." Only this time, or I do like it, only this time it's done on the internet.
It's a little different because in that scenario, there's a salesman talking to the customer. But in this scenario, it's the customer talking to the customer, and you're observing this.
Okay, so I'm not the one interacting.
You can.
I could, but it could be. But using me as an example, because I want to learn too. It's my viewers talking to each other.
That's right. Commenting on something that you've put up.
And if I wanted to, I could join the conversation.
That's right. You can moderate that, and a lot of people do. Companies have their product managers in there moderating. You might step in and say, "This is what our intent for the show was. What did you think?" And the customers will give you feedback, and they might give you ideas for future shows.
So a company can almost get instantaneous consumer feedback as to their advertising or to the quality of their product through this device.
It's at the point now where some media companies stream live and there's live feedback, real time going on. So this is actually instantaneous feedback.
You know, it's very hard to grow a brand these days, Russ. I mean, all those folks out there, it's very, people who are doing, because you don't know where to go with your brand. I mean, newspapers are closing. Who's watching what television? Is somebody watching YouTube? Is somebody on the web? Is somebody looking at their cell phone? It's very hard to decide how to invest your time and dollars to build your brand.
It is, but we would actually recommend that companies these days spend the time or hire the resources for somebody who manages these external channels,
and that's
like YouTube, like Facebook. No, this is usually someone on their marketing team who then
on their
interacts with
marketing
us.
team.
We
Right.
help them build the tools, and we have the toolkit, and we help them market these things.
But they have to
someone
do
who
their own.
protects their branding out there, even for small business, because if you don't manage what's being said about you, it will be managed somewhere else in some groups or chat rooms.
It'll get away from
It'll
you.
get away from you. So you really want to watch Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, LinkedIn, some of the international sites if you have international products.
Do people have enough time to do that? I mean, you say a company can hire a product man, but what about the small guy or small people who are building their business? Do they have time to sit there all day long and listen to what people are saying?
Some
to
do,
them?
some don't, but I would say it's absolutely essential these days that you make the time. I mean, up to an hour a day to be out there managing your brand, particularly if you're a small business, because you're trying to stand out. You want people to talk about you. You need some buzz.
There's no such thing as bad press, right?
That's right, but just make sure that it's going in the right direction, and then you can step in and moderate this. But this is how small business actually competes with large business.
If you see negative comments, can you step in and say, "Well, I really didn't mean it that way. I really thought this was going to be my point."
Absolutely.
And you can skew consumer attitude.
You can, but you also have the moderation capabilities of the group. So sometimes you'll find your most vocal advocates sometimes will shut down somebody who's really out of line. And
well, I guess it goes back to the saying, there's no such thing as somebody else saying something good about you.
That's right.
Instead of you saying this about. Okay, so one way to do this is blog. Are there some other tools in your kit?
Absolutely. So there's things around using recruiting.
What else could I do besides blog?
Well, there's forums. You could edit some of those things.
What do you mean a forum?
There is areas where you actually come on and bring on guest editors who are talking. Blogs tend to be a little more quickly interacting. These days, there's things called microblogging, where you see people.
What's microblogging?
Well, there's new companies out there like Twitter who allow you to
Twitter.
say about 120 character max response. So it's a very quick response. You can't elaborate much, but people tend to follow that. So what are you doing right now? You can talk about those things. And we're seeing a lot of...
Is that like texting?
It's text. It's very similar to texting, but you're doing it from the website.
I see.
So people want to know what you're doing right now.
Yeah, well, I was surprised to find out that luxury brands, companies like a Cartier, are taking part in this kind of social networking.
Business are just dipping their toes in right now. They're very cautious because they need to control the brand.
Right.
And
they're afraid it's going to get away from them.
well, sometimes they'll have full-time moderation. Actually, really large brands sometimes, when those comments come in, actually have a human view them first before they're allowed to be posted, so that there's nothing malicious said about the brand.
So you can do that.
You can do that.
You can have some kind of a firewall.
You can.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, there's software that'll actually filter words. Certainly bad words can be filtered out, but then you can have a human being look at it to say, this really isn't appropriate for our brand, and they can pull that out.
Right.
That's a little controversial.
Yeah. You have a background in marketing.
I do.
Yeah. So, do you like this piece of the new way to get you to extend your brand? It seems to be so much more troublesome than the old style.
Well, the old
getting
style,
an ad or
the old style benefited a few at the expense of the small business, I would say. Now, this levels the playing field quite a bit. The web is considerably different. Your web marketing strategy is different than your offline strategy, where you spend millions and millions of dollars on advertising.
This makes the guy in his garage build the guy who's working out of his garage build his brand.
He builds a beautiful website. He can look like he's the biggest company out there. In reality, he's really in his garage.
Because nobody knows.
No, that's right.
Okay, so we have blogs, we have these communities, forums. You're calling them. Anything else?
Again, audio, video. You can do podcasting. You can do video streaming.
What's podcasting?
Podcasting, just audio streaming.
Okay.
So if you wanted to stream the conversation here, you would put it up
Suppose
there.
I want to stream you.
That's right. You'd basically capture the file, you'd put it up on your website, and then they can just come on and hit play,
right.
and they can hear our whole conversation on their speakers from their computer.
Right.
And then if you take it a step further, you can actually add video in there to watch the whole interactive video, and then allow people to comment.
But all these things that I can do, and are these costly? These things to do? They're going to cost a lot of money. Because I'm a small guy.
Less and less. It all comes around to the amount of money you want to put into your website. And in tough economic times, like I think we're heading into right now.
We're heading into, we are.
Yeah, I think 2009, we're already seeing, we believe that less than 50% of small businesses are actually online right now. We're seeing that number increase. Actually, in down times, people spend more money on their web marketing because it's more efficient.
Right. And anyway, in down times, you really have to spend some money on marketing. Because if you give in, you're only going to erode your customer base more.
That's right.
So there's almost a commitment to spending more.
There is, but in a smart way.
But in a smart way, yeah. But all these tools, the blogging, the microblogging, the texting, the community, none of it is of any avail if there's not some interaction.
That's right.
You can't just put it up there and forget about it.
You can't. You have to have somebody manage it. But even we actually recommend that somebody's out there posting on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, all these things, but they point back to your home website. So then you can get the traffic back to your own website. You can control the brand on the home website. So it's
almost like dropping in an ad in this periodical or that periodical for folks that are used to the traditional print marketing ways. Or it's almost like doing all of that, hoping that somebody will catch something along the way.
That's right, and that's the branding. But then you pull them back to your site to monetize the site.
As long as you bring them back, as long as you bring them back to your home page.
That's right.
You're doing a good job.
Then you're getting you want to get as many people as possible back to your homepage because then
for someone who's got a nice small business and wants to really grow his business. Suppose he's a company with revenue, say, of $250,000, and he's looking maybe to grow his business to another 400 level or something, more towards a larger amount. How much does that person have to spend to do this kind of thing?
It depends on how they want to go about building this out. The applications are not that much more expensive.
Yeah.
They can spend as little as $500. They can spend as much as $25,000 on improving their website. It depends on what they want to add and how much adding things like hosting.
How long do you have to invest time and money before you start to see some results? To know if you're getting your money's worth.
To get an ROI on some of these things, you'll start to see your customers.
That's a return on investment.
Yeah, that's right. So if you build a website and you put these tools on there, you'll start to see the community focusing. One other thing that happens, this is important to understand, as you build your website out and the content that comes with that, the search engines start to find you more.
Oh, so okay.
And so you start to pick up
these search engines are going to start helping you, right?
Yes, that's right. You'll get
that's
more.
A good note. That's a good note.
It's page rank improvement.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good note to end on.
Okay.
Thanks. I've enjoyed this, and you've given me. I have to say, I got my money's worth. So thanks for being on the show, Ross. Right. I'm Judith West. You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. Thanks for watching.